You are making some critical mistakes on Facebook Marketplace. This is IkeGuitar. I'm going to show you how not to make them. What's going on, guys? IkeGuitar here. Today's another guitar-related video. Today we're talking about Facebook Marketplace and how a lot of you guys are hosing up the process for selling and trading your gear on Facebook Marketplace. Now I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks and maybe a couple pet peeves from a avid trader on the marketplace to help you guys get the best gear for your money. But first, let's talk caveats here. Facebook Marketplace is not a perfect solution for buying and selling gear. A lot of the times you're going to want to list your products in different places rather than just one. So for example, not only Marketplace, but Craigslist, eBay, Reverb, the list goes on. If you really want to get the most out of selling and buying gear, you have to list in multiple places, or you're going to be really hindering your chances at moving a piece of gear for any reason. Now, although we're talking about Facebook Marketplace particularly, some of these things are going to be able to be applied to other places, but I will tell you, as a general rule on Facebook Marketplace, if you're trying to sell gear, especially, it is very hard to liquidate. It is very hard to get cash money for the products you're trying to sell. So I'm going to give you guys some great tips on even if you can't sell the guitar or amp or pedal board, you can certainly trade it for something a little bit better. So the first tip and trick to Marketplace is don't be provocative in your posting. Now it seems kind of obvious. You want to put your best foot forward for customers viewing your selling ad. But guys, listen, Facebook Marketplace is full of people who are just burned by Facebook Marketplace. There are tons of bots. There are tons of low ballers. There are people who have no business on a listing, kind of like asking you for your best price. So it's easy to say things like, the price is firm, not negotiating, or things like, if it's around, it's available, or, people who send a automated message will be ignored. It's super easy to get bitter about that and to post something provocative on your selling ad, but it's really not worth the time. Whether or not someone's a bot, whether or not someone's a scam, whether or not someone just lowballs you out of the blue, always try to be as respectful as you can because you never, ever know. I've had some people who are being kind of like standoffish or kind of like automated message in the replies, and it turns out they're just like awkward people. They're just awkward socially, awkward mentally, but they have money, So my best advice to you guys on tip number one is don't be provocative. Don't make any bold statements because it's going to come to bite you in the butt. You're alienating a customer base. It may not be a large one, but it might be the one that ends up buying your guitar in the end, and we want that. So don't be provocative. My second tip for you guys today, do not be hardball on wanting to sell your instrument on the marketplace for cash. Guys, marketplace is really tough to do any kind of liquidation, and to be honest with you guys, people who are really aggressive about stating that they will only sell for cash, I understand that cash is king and that cash is really, really important in buying and selling. But listen, you're going to attract more flies with honey than you are going to be with vinegar, similar to our provocative note in the last point. But really, when you go into Facebook Marketplace, you need to have an expectation that there is a 10% chance a listing really might sell for a cash offer, albeit maybe one that is the actual offer you want. Usually if it's a cash offer, it's going to end up being lower because cash is technically worth more than just product by itself. When you're listing an item on Marketplace for sale, you have to be open to trades. You have to be open, taking a really low cash offer if you really want that cash. And let me tell you, there is something to just being open with people. I mean, like, hey, I have room for negotiation. I prefer cash, but I will take a trade if it's in my favor or a little below. Next tip and trick for Marketplace, buying and selling, make sure you list decent pictures of the guitar. I think a lot of people, when they buy and sell on Marketplace, they take their potato camera and they list a picture that really doesn't help, really doesn't promote what you look for in a guitar. And I'm talking guitars here, but it can apply to amps, pedals, whatever else. But a lot of people hide the serial on a guitar, like stop clutching your pearls. No one is going to steal your guitar's serial number because Gibson and Martin and Fender all have people that are paid to make sure that when you send a serial into them, they can tell you whether or not it's fake. So people who like cross out their serial with their finger or like a Sharpie, like it's just kind of tired and annoying, really. When I want to see a guitar, I need to see the serial because I want to make sure the guitar is legit. And sometimes I need to send a serial in to a manufacturer to make sure a guitar is legit, has all the stock parts, so to speak. So things like, taking potato photos and hiding your serial and not really giving the guitar its best look for a sale can really hinder potential buyers, especially serious ones like me, from going for a guitar. Okay, so make sure that your listing is as carefully crafted picture-wise as can be. I tell you, if you send me pictures of a guitar that was from 6 months ago, okay, I don't think you're a serious seller, and I'm going to move on to someone else and their guitar instead. Next up, I want to give you guys, be willing to make the trade, even if it's not quite in your favor. Now listen, guys, I think it's important that we understand there is a definite trade value with every guitar. Obviously, cash would be a little bit lower. People are going to end up trade a little higher product for product than sell for cash, right? I would take $800 on a $1,000 guitar, but I might take $1,000 for $1,000 on a trade guitar. Now listen, guys, it is not easy to sell on Marketplace. You're kind of at the whim of buyers and your product placement and how you describe your listing. But listen, always be open to any kind of trade, even if it's not necessarily guitar for guitar. There are tons of great products in the world that you can take for trade on a guitar, like MacBooks or other items of value that people tend to put a lot of stake in, and that might be more worth to you than other things. There is an eye of the beholder concept with trading. It may not be worth it to you, but I guarantee there's some sucker out there who wants what you've got. You just gotta find the right person. Tip and trick number 4, if you're buying and selling and trading guitar equipment on Marketplace, make sure it's from high quality brands and not the weird third-party ones. Guys, I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten a trade offer for some really jank and whack guitar brands out there, and there are tons of them, mind you, but I would recommend to you all that when you're listing a guitar or you're considering buying or trading for one, you're not picking a guitar that is really hard to move generally, right? So things like Gibson, PRS, Fenders, all pretty much move really, really well. But other brands like Custom Builders, even though they might be really nice, or these third-party brands like Copley or Guild, or any of these other brands that are not part of the main line 3 or 4 that you guys know and love, it's going to be really tough to sell those things. And I will say, there are a lot of great imports or third-party brands that make an exceptional guitar that rival some of these bigger brands. That's besides the point, okay? You're looking at people's perceptions more than what they think in reality, all right? There's a perception that Gibson, Fender, PRS, and Martin are better guitars than things like Copley, Guild, things of those nature, right? So you have to be aware that there is a perception. You have to play into that perception if you want to be successful on the Marketplace. That's how the world works. I'm sorry, but listen, buy good stuff, buy well-known stuff, and you'll be just fine. Tip number 5, for buying and selling guitars, there is no shame in a good lowball. All right, guys, listen up. There's no need to be afraid in just lowballing someone to snot, okay? There's no shame in doing that. What we're trying to do as a guitar trader, okay, is we're trying to get the best bang for our buck. And if a potential customer that wants to sell their guitar to us is okay with a lowball offer, even if begrudgingly, that's still something that he decided on and accepted, okay? So there is no shame in anyone here offering a lowball. Anyone who offers me a lowball, I might be a little miffed. I might be like, are you serious? That guitar's worth at least $500 more than what you said. But what you can do is begin to negotiate. You can find some middle ground, right? Like I said, always be open to a trade, or if you're getting cash, a less value than what your guitar actually might be worth. Honestly, guys, there is something taking more of a shotgun approach to an offer that you have. Maybe guitar's not moving. Maybe it's kind of stale in your side of the Marketplace. You can start lowballing people. You can start asking them if the guitar is able to be negotiated on. You can do this in a way that is not rude. You can say, hey, would you consider negotiating from an amount, right? So maybe the lowball is like $300. You would say, hey, I'm interested in your guitar. How would you feel about negotiating up from $300? That way you can you let the customer know that you are open to negotiation, you are open to communicating about the value of the instrument. You might find there's more common ground than you think if you begin with a lower number and eventually find some middle ground in between their listing price, their asking price, and what you need from it, okay? Now, all that to say, that it is a very non-committal marketplace. People can just say, like, screw off, I don't want to hear it. Like, I told you it's firm, and that's fine too, right? But I will say there are many times where there might be a listing that is very provocative. Hey, price firm, I ain't moving kind of a person. And then 4 weeks or 5 weeks down the road, I'll save that listing, come back to it, and I will say, hey, would you consider negotiating from this amount? And you know what? Time does a number on people when it comes to their firmness on something, right? So sometimes waiting a few weeks to make an offer on a guitar that is a bit more like set in stone might offer you the leeway you need to soften the heart of the person who's selling the guitar. You can get one on a deal. Guys, thanks for listening to my rant on the tips and tricks I think you all need when selling and buying gear on Facebook Marketplace. If you liked the advice, let me know down below. What would you recommend for these trading videos? I've got a lot of great guitars I've come across over the years that I've traded up from almost nothing. I would love to know what you guys think. Would me talking about them be fun for you? Would you guys like more tips and tricks like this? Or do you want me to go through Facebook Marketplace and totally roast some sellers on the marketplace? I want to know what you guys think. Have a great one, guys. And we'll see you next time on IkeGuitar.